Venice, 1725. Behind the glamour of masks and music, a boy is born to a family of performers. Poor, unstable, and already forgotten by the world. Giacomo Casanova, a name no one notices yet. His mother, a traveling actress. His father, an actor with no stage left. The boy is raised not in comfort, but in chaos. But even as a child, something in his eyes reflects more than innocence, ambition, calculation, the hunger to rise. At 9 years old, the boy falls deathly ill. His body weakens, his breath shortens. His mother, desperate, brings him to a strange doctor, one who believes in bleeding and alchemy more than prayer. The cure is unorthodox, but it works. The child survives. To some it's medicine, to others, a miracle. But for Casanova, it is his first brush with mortality, and perhaps with fate. Recognizing his intelligence, his mother makes a decision. The boy will serve the church. At 12, he enters a seminary. Surrounded by robes and silence, most boys would break. Casanova thrives. He learns Latin, Greek, philosophy, and theology. But his mind isn't shaped by faith. It's sharpened by strategy. He studies not to worship, but to win. By 15, Casanova earns his doctorate in law at the University of Padua, a rare honor, even for men twice his age. But he doesn't seek a courtroom, he seeks the world. His education isn't over, it's just escaped the walls of academia. Venice watches a scholar walk out, unaware that a seducer, trickster, and legend is already taking form. At 17, Casanova officially enters the church. A young man in priestly robes, eyes full of ambition, lips already practiced in persuasion. He delivers sermons, performs rituals, and plays the part. But behind the holy words, temptation stirs. His mind remains sharp, but his desires grow sharper. The cassock cannot contain the man forming beneath it. 2 years in, the facade collapses. Casanova is caught gambling, drinking, and seducing women. All crimes for a man of the cloth. The church has no choice. He is expelled. But this is no fall. This is liberation. Stripped of titles, Casanova steps into the world not as a sinner, but as himself. That same year, fate introduces him to Cardinal Pietro Ottoboni, a powerful figure of Rome. The cardinal falls gravely ill, and Casanova, in a strange twist, helps save his life. Grateful, Ottoboni brings the young exile into his inner circle. Casanova now walks among Rome's elite, a fallen priest reborn as a man of influence. Freed from religion, Casanova turns to older gods, secrets, symbols, and forbidden texts. He meets mystics, magicians, and self-proclaimed alchemists. He listens, learns, experiments. The world becomes a puzzle he intends to master, whether through science or sorcery. Back in Venice, with no title and no coin, Casanova joins an orchestra as a second-rate violinist. But he doesn't play music. He studies the crowd. In taverns and theaters, he begins to gamble, seduce, and scheme. He wins favors, gold, and secrets. A man with no rank, carving power with charm. On the road, Casanova crosses paths with figures even more mysterious than he. Alchemists, Kabbalists, men who claim to speak with angels. He doesn't mock them. He listens. In their words, he finds something intoxicating. Not faith, but control. Alchemy, rituals, ancient codes. He begins to believe that knowledge itself is power. In Paris, he meets Madame d'Urfé, a wealthy noblewoman obsessed with the occult. He convinces her that he can help her be reborn. As a man, she gives him fortunes. He gives her fantasies. It's a con, elegant, dangerous, and almost believable. Casanova doesn't just lie. He gives people the illusions they crave. By now, Casanova is no longer a shadow. He dines with nobility, earns invitations to salons, and whispers with powerful men. He becomes a name, sometimes adored, sometimes feared. In Venice, he is a man of stories. Stories no one can prove, but everyone repeats. The masks fall. His name appears in too many rumors: seduction, heresy, black magic. The Venetian Inquisition knocks at his door. Casanova is arrested and thrown into the dreaded Piombi prison, beneath the lead rooftops of the Doge's palace. A man of air and fire, now caged in stone and silence. The Piombi, Venice's most feared prison. Cold, dark, sealed under sheets of lead. Casanova is locked away without trial, accused of crimes no court wants to name. Books are forbidden, windows are sealed. For the first time, he is not in control. But he's not broken. He is planning. After 15 months in isolation, he finds a crack, literally. With a smuggled spike hidden beneath food, he digs through the ceiling. He climbs, crawls, breaks through locked doors, and walks out of the Doge's palace like a ghost. Venice wakes up humiliated. Casanova becomes a legend. In Paris, he turns exile into opportunity. He mingles with aristocrats, flatterers, and financiers, and proposes a brilliant idea: a state-run lottery to save France's economy. The king agrees. From prisoner to government advisor, in less than 2 years. Paris loves him, almost. He befriends writers, flirts with philosophers, and shares drinks with Voltaire, who calls him a fraud behind his back. Casanova responds by offering his talents to the French Secret Service. If he can't charm their minds, he'll watch their moves. He drifts east to Holland, to Germany, and finally to Russia. In St. Petersburg, he stands before Catherine the Great, a gambler now whispering to empresses. He seeks favor, funding, maybe a place at court. But the empress sees through him, and once again he must move on. Back in Paris, Casanova tries to rise again, but the city has changed. His charm is still sharp, but so are the knives of court politics. He seeks favor, influence, a second act. But the doors that once opened now creak shut. The gambler finds himself outplayed. He finally meets the man he once admired, Voltaire. But the philosopher laughs at him, calls him a clown in silk, a storyteller with no soul. Casanova smiles, but inside, it burns. The Enlightenment had no place for tricksters. He returns to Venice after years in exile, older, humbler, pretending to serve. The Republic welcomes him, but not as a hero. They use him, make him a spy, feed him lies and scraps, and when they tire of him, they cast him out once more. Venice never forgets, but it never forgives. With no money, no power, no allies, Casanova returns to what he knows: chance, cards, dice, bluff. But fortune has grown cold. His name now opens no doors. His tricks no longer amaze. For the first time, Casanova begins to feel old. Wandering Europe like a ghost, he moves from city to city, chasing opportunities that never arrive. His letters go unanswered. His fame fades. The world he once seduced has outgrown him. And for the first time, Casanova wonders, was it ever real? At 60, Casanova accepts the unthinkable, a quiet job in a quiet castle in the middle of nowhere. In Bohemia, he becomes a librarian to a nobleman who barely tolerates him. No salons, no scandals, just dust, ink, and silence. The lion has been caged by time. But silence brings reflection. Casanova picks up the pen. He writes, not for forgiveness, not for fame, but for immortality. Page by page, he records everything. The women, the lies, the escapes, the heartbreaks. Not as a hero, not as a villain, just as a man, real, flawed, unforgettable. The world has moved on. His friends are dead or indifferent. His health declines. His name, once whispered in every ballroom, is now met with blank stares. And yet, he keeps writing, because words are all he has left, and because deep down he knows, one day, someone will read them. On June 4th, 1798, Giacomo Casanova dies. No fanfare, no mourners, just a grave, a castle, and a legacy buried in pages. But decades later, those pages would surface, and the world would rediscover him, not just as a seducer, but as one of history's most extraordinary lives ever lived. This timeline is closed. Until next time, I remain Lucius, the keeper of history.